Hey, how are you? Good morning. Good morning. Hey. Good morning. How's everyone doing? Anyone have any interesting drinks on them this morning? Anything fancy for Sunday? I'm obviously making coffee, which is, you know, the norm for me. Coffee, so much coffee. So much coffee. I'm opening up the new half and half. Doing okay, woke up with Bracton 6. Oh, I didn't know that you were that close to how pregnant are you? Like 8 months, or how close to the end are you? Oh, I'm cracking up when I go to a restaurant and ask for the biggest coffee cup. The biggest coffee you ever had. Yeah, Becca would know. I did not know, Mary. I did not know. Oh, really? How interesting. Huh. Thank you for the new follow. I'm just making coffee and then we'll do book club, obviously. I need coffee first, so I can't survive without it. Hey, Sam, make sure you email me those kiddos' names so that I can make specific things for each of them, you know what I mean? That way they won't be like, oh, well, I wanted that one. We'll be like, no, the guy said this one was yours. I cannot survive without the coffee. Are we going to try to finish today? I don't know. I don't know if we're going to try to finish today. Maybe, because I did get on early, so maybe we'll try to finish today. Let's see how long the chapters are. They'll argue even if you do that. Brutal. Oh well. I'm trying, though. It can be fun anyway, right? Could be fun anyway. Yeah, Sam, Becca also has... Oh, Becca has triplets plus one. Or one plus triplets, I guess, technically. Children are fun. Yeah. 2 are almost 7. One's 9. Wait, so you have twins? Yeah, the 2-year-old's not gonna know what's going on, which is great. Hey, Brian. All right, let's see how we did. Let's see this pour. It was an okay pour, not the best pour. There's still some foam in here. Definitely wasn't the best pour. You think you overdid it? Blended family like 5 weeks apart. Oh my gosh, that's so cool though, right? Did you ever sew compost when you were in NYC? Wait, what? I don't know what that means, Brian. What do you mean? I'm not sure what that means, Brian. Did you ever go to the show? I didn't even know there was a show called Accomplice. That's why I didn't know what that meant. Morning. Tracy, I know I owe you an email. Things have just been crazy. It's cool sometimes. So one was a preemie due to her. Oh, wow. That's so random. The more you know. The more you know. Okay, so can you guys hear me when I speak at this level? Or I'm wondering if I should go in the kitchen and do this because secret boyfriend is sleeping and I don't want to wake him up. Did I tell you Max asked a cashier what's poppin'? The 2-year-old is currently shoving goldfish in his sister's mouth. I mean, that's normal. It's a walking tour meet scavenger hunt in Greenwich. Oh, that sounds fun. It's hard to hear. Okay, I'm gonna go in the other room. Hold on, let's move everything to the kitchen. Hold on. If I'm in here, I feel like I can talk a little bit louder because there's like a little bit more. Let me get the book. Hold on, I gotta go over and get the book. Okay, this is better, right? You can hear me a little better when I talk like this. There's like more barriers between me and the room that he's in if I am here. So I'm just gonna sit on the counter here and do this so that we can have book club and not worry. How's that? That's a little better, right? Okay. Okay. What does your hoodie say? It's the Princess Half Marathon hoodie from when I did this last February's. Yeah, they're Walt Disney World shorts from the 10th Centennial remake of the merch. I want to see your face when I say this. I never had it. What does that even mean, Becca? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? A real croissant? What fake croissants are out there? What does that mean? Yeah. Same question, Shelley. What is not a real croissant? Can you clarify? What are you talking about? I need more. I need more information. What is not a real croissant? Pillsbury ones. Well, how dare you? The Costco croissants are great, Brian. They're great. They're delicious, even phenomenal, wondrous. We're gonna read. We are on chapter 28 right now. Chapter 28. Let's go. The enchantress frantically paced back and forth in the front of her throne. Her hair anxiously swayed above her. Say it again, she demanded. But I've already said it 10 times, Red said, still kneeling before the fire. You will say it 100 times if that's what I ask of you, Esmea yelled. Red did what she was told. I Queen Red of the Red Riding Hood Kingdom, give my kingdom to you, she said. Esmea looked at the fire and waited for it to change. But it remained the same, just as high and strong as the enchantress slammed her hands on the arm of her chair. What's wrong, Esmea? Rumpelstiltskin asked. It's not working, she screamed. I don't understand. I've been working on this for centuries. I had everything I needed. Charlotte was sobbing hysterically in the birdcage. You horrible, horrible creature, she cried. How could you do that to a girl? Oh, shut up. I told you to shut up, woman, Esmea yelled at her. She could barely think. Charlotte continued her sobs, mourning louder in spite of Esmea's screams. She doesn't think she could possibly have done something wrong, so it has to be someone else. Yeah, for sure. As far as Charlotte knew, her daughter was dead, and she was never coming back. Connor had been in shock since it happened, but he watched the enchantress's struggle. As he watched the enchantress's struggle, his spirit started to rise. Esmea needed all 7 of the deadly sins and the air of magic to activate the portal. Maybe his sister had successfully taken her pride. Maybe she had finished the wand and was alive. That dreadful witch Hagatha must have lied to me, Esmea yelled. The fire should have grown into a portal in the other world as soon as I conquered the past, present, and future and mastered the 7 deadly sins: lust, envy, sloth, greed, gluttony, wrath, and pride. A strange look came to the enchantress's face as she thought of the spell's ingredients. She looked at the spot where Alex had been standing when she was blasted into the sky. To everyone's surprise, a giant smile suddenly appeared on Connor's face. What's the matter, Esmea? Connor said. Did a little girl take away your pride? The enchantress jerked her head toward him like a hawk finding its prey. What did you just say? Esmea said sharply. Connor, what are you doing? Froggy whispered to him. Don't make her angrier, Jack said. Connor ignored them. I said a little girl took away Esmea, the enchantress's pride. He called out so that everyone in the Colosseum could hear him. That's why you can't complete the spell. A whispered murmur spread through the Colosseum between the kings and queens. Was Connor just taunting her, or was there truth to what he said? Silence, Esmea ordered them. If you think my pride can be taken away from me, you're all an insult to your own intelligence. Bring the boy to me. The vines lifted Red back against the wall and placed Connor in front of the fire. No, Charlotte yelled. Don't you dare hurt him. Butterboy, Trollbella yelled. Connor wasn't afraid. Are you going to kill me too? He asked. As a matter of fact, I am, the enchantress said. Oh, good one, Connor said spitefully. Way to make yourself feel better, Esmea. Kill an innocent child to really show how prideful you are. What are you going to do next? Club a couple of baby seals? The enchantress had had enough of him. Any final words? She said. Connor had to think about it, wanting to make whatever he said count. Yeah, you're ugly and you smell bad, he said. And where I come from, everyone thinks you're green with horns. Esmea raised her hands in his direction. Connor braced himself. Esmea, look! Rumpelstiltskin yelled and pointed to the sky. Flying towards the Colosseum was a large white horse with massive wings. As it flew closer to everyone in the Colosseum, they gasped and they saw who was steering it. Alex! Connor screamed. You're alive! Charlotte screamed from the cage. The horse landed in the center of the Colosseum and Alex jumped off its back. She commandingly raised the wand of wonderment and pointed it at the enchantress. Miss me? Alex said. The enchantress couldn't believe what she was seeing, as if her day could get any worse. She waved her hands and the vines dragged Connor back against the wall. Alex, don't waste any time, Connor yelled as he was dragged off. Just zap her, strike her dead. Esmea waved her hand again and the vines covered Connor's mouth. The enchantress glanced sideways at Charlotte in the cage and all of a sudden it dawned on her. She wasn't the fairy godmother's granddaughter after all. Esmea slowly strode over to Alex and looked her up and down like she was an interesting piece of art. So you're the fairy godmother's real granddaughter, I take it? Esmea said and began circling her. Alex never lowered the wand. She was ready to strike if Esmea showed any signs of doing the same. It's interesting that we have so much in common. We're both from the same place, we both have magic in our blood, and we both possess extraordinary abilities. Oh, hey, Amanda. We're not that far into the chapter, don't worry. We are nothing alike, Alex snapped. I could never do all of the horrible things that you've done. A smile appeared on Esmea's face. Well, that's where you're wrong, she said. You see, I came into this world just like I'm assuming you did, full of excitement and promise. I wanted to do so much good work, to help so many people and give as much as I could to those who needed me. But then I learned a very harsh lesson. The world doesn't always give back. I'm not a tragic case of the world. I am the world. Cruel, unfair, and not a fairy tale. People are born heroes or villains. People are not born heroes or villains. They're created by the people around them. And one day, when your bright eyes and bushy-tailed view of life gets a taste of reality, when bitterness and anger first run through your veins, you'll discover that you are just like me. And it'll scare you to death. Alex shook her head and gripped the wand even tighter. No, Esmia, I'll never be like you, she said, because I would rather have nothing and a big heart than everything and no heart at all. Everyone in the Colosseum went quiet. Esmia's hair was flowing above her and out of control. Oh, snap, Connor yelled. You need some ointment for that burn, Esmia. Esmia waved her hands and the vines covered Connor's mouth again. You're brave with that wand in your hand, Esmia said to Alex, but I'd like to see you cross me with it out of reach. Yeah, Connor's a sassy pants, and I love it. I love Connor's sassy pants nature. Alex knew this was her moment. If she wanted to defeat the Enchantress for good, this might be her only chance. Fine, Alex said, and tossed the wand to the ground. I don't need it. The entire Colosseum gasped. Are you crazy, Alex? Connor yelled through the vines covering his mouth. Pick it back up. Pick it back up. The Enchantress roared with laughter at Alex's carelessness. You stupid girl, she said. You must have a death wish. I don't need a wand to defeat you, Esmia, Alex said. Whether I have magic in my blood or not, I'll always have the most powerful magic of all inside of me. Compassion. And I have enough inside of me, even for you. What? The Enchantress said, amused by her foolishness. Alex took a deep breath, praying what she was about to say would strip Esmia of her powers forever. Esmia, on behalf of everyone in this room, I apologize for what the world put you through. I forgive you for all the havoc you caused trying to heal, Alex said. I'm sorry your family was killed when you were a little girl. I'm so sorry no one was there to comfort you when you had your heart broken over and over again. I am sorry that the fairies never showed you the kindness that they show everyone else. And I'm sorry you felt revenge was the only way you could piece yourself back together again. Everyone was looking back and forth between Alex and Esmia like they were in a tennis match. Connor covered his eyes, afraid he was about to watch his sister be killed for real this time. The Enchantress was taken aback by Alex had to say. It was the last thing she expected to come out of the girl's mouth. Esmia did not know what to do but laugh. She threw her head back a number of times and let a malicious laugh erupt and grow from inside her. Apology not accepted, Esmia said. She pointed her finger at Alex to blast her to the heavens again, but nothing happened. She pointed her finger again, still nothing. Nothing was happening. Esmia tried with her other hand, but got the same result. Esmia gradually lost her hair's magenta color, and it faded to gray, falling in her face one strand at a time. The fire in the crater diminished more and more by the second, until there was nothing left in it but skulls. The vines around the Colosseum squirmed like dying snakes, loosening their grip and releasing the people they held against the wall. No, Esmia screamed. No, this is impossible. The room watched in astonishment as magic slowly left the Enchantress's body, and Esmia faded into an elderly and decrepit woman, too weak to stand on her own feet. The Enchantress had lost her power. Alex closed her eyes, and possibly for the first time all day, she exhaled. She turned back to her brother as he brushed the limp vines off his body. He, along with everyone else in the Colosseum, stared at her with enough pride to knock the ceiling off where there had been one. A 13-year-old girl in a headband had been able to do what none of the crowned monarchs could. As Esmia withered away, she fell to the floor and crawled back on her hands and knees. A small cackle came from her as she grabbed a hold of the wand of wonderment left on the floor. Alex, behind you, Connor screamed. Alex turned to see Esmia pointing the wand directly at her. As she held the wand, her body and her magic were restored. Her hair flowed above her head. The fire in the crater reignited again, and the vines began to vibrate with life and started dragging people back to the wall. Without time to think, Connor grabbed hold of Goldilocks' sword, ran towards his sister, and sliced the vine, trying to seize him. Esmia glared at Alex with an evil smile on her face and in her eyes. Maybe I was wrong, the Enchantress said. Maybe I will have my happily ever after all. Alex froze where she stood, petrified to her core. She couldn't believe how quickly the situation had changed. In a matter of seconds, she'd gone from victory to defeat. A bright blast shot out of the wand and right towards her. Alex closed her eyes, knowing this was the end. How was this how she was going to die? No! Rumpelstiltskin yelled. He came out of nowhere and jumped in front of Alex. The blast hit him in the chest and he fell to the ground. Esmea watched in shock as the fatal blast meant for Alex hit the only person that she had ever considered a friend. Connor arrived at the enchantress's side and sliced the wand of wonderment in half. The wand was destroyed. The magic drained from Esmea's body, and the enchantments around the Colosseum faded once again. Alex went to the floor and held Rumpelstiltskin's head in her lap. Connor dropped down next to her, but there was nothing either of them could do. You saved my life, Alex said to the little man in her arms. Why would you do that for me? Rumpelstiltskin was gasping and his eyes grew heavier by the second. I just wanted my brothers to have something to be proud of, he grunted weakly. He smiled up at the twins, closed his eyes for the last time, and died in Alex's arms. Oh no, Connor said. Poor little guy. A heavy wheezing came from nearby. The twins looked across the floor to see Esmea crawling towards them. Her body was decaying and wilting at a rapid speed. Looks like you've won, Esmea wheezed with difficulty. Alex and Connor looked at each other, disgusted. Even as they held the body of her only acquaintance, all Esmea cared about was her legacy. They looked down at her with the most pitying eyes she had ever been viewed with. No, Esmea, Alex said. No one wins when there's a loss. Esmea rolled onto her back and stared up at the smoky sky. With one last rattling breath, her body rotted away until there was nothing left of her but the memory of what she had been. With nothing to validate the anger that powered her livelihood, the enchantress's body and soul disappeared, a casualty to compassion. The kings and queens and fairies brushed the vines off their bodies again and happily embraced one another. The nightmare was over and their kingdoms were safe once again. King Chance and Cinderella held Princess Hope, and Cinderella wiped tears of joy from her own exhausted eyes. Sleeping Beauty wouldn't let go of King Chase. It was the first time in weeks that they had seen one another. Snow White and King Chandler helped Rapunzel brush the leaves out of her hair, which was a several-person effort. Red kissed Froggy repeatedly all over his big frog head. Jack tried dipping Goldilocks for a romantic kiss, but her fugitive reflexes refused to let him flip her over and flipped him over her shoulder by accident. Trollbella walked over to Connor. Hey, listen, Trollbella, I'm very flattered, but I'm not really interested in... He started, but the Troll Queen silenced him with an index finger pressed to his mouth. No, Butterboy, let me do the talking. She said, I understand that this day has been hard on you, watching the squishy girl almost die and then narrowly escaping death yourself. I just wanted to let you know I'm in no rush for our wedding, whether it's in 2 days or 2 weeks. I'll be... This is an amazing line, you guys. I'm going to repeat it because it's hysterical and I want to make sure you hear it. I just wanted to let you know I'm in no rush for our wedding. Whether it's in 2 days or 2 weeks, I'll be waiting for you. Trollbella is an entire mood, you guys. She's like, I can wait. It's not a big deal. 2 weeks? What? Like, it's great, right? That's hilarious. Hilarious. I love it. She's a mood. She's a whole mood. I love the way he throws stuff like that in here. Like, that's what makes this so good. It's not just the story. It's like these little tiny blips that are so unique to each of the characters that are like, chef's kiss. Thanks, Connor said. Trollbella winked at him and walked away, leaving him even more confused than before. The fairy council went to the glass jars in front of the golden chair and one by one opened the lids and released the trapped souls inside. The twins watched as the soul of the baker, the locksmith, and the soldier happily flew from the jars and disappeared to the sky above, free at last. The spirits of the kings and musicians hovered in the air behind the others, waiting to join their spirits. The ghosts of Queen Beauty and Gloria floated into the Colosseum, up to their long-lost loves. They flew around, over and under, and through each other, finally reunited after centuries. Gloria and the musician looked to the twins and bowed thankfully to them before disappearing into the sky with the other spirits. The ghost of the king and the old Queen Beauty looked lovingly down at Sleeping Beauty and King Chase before disappearing as well.
Who was that? Sleeping Beauty asked her husband. King Chase looked up at the sky and smiled. Well, I suppose there are guardian angels now. Jack chopped through the lock on Charlotte's cage, and she ran to her children, throwing her arms around them. Mom, the twins said in unison, I have never been more proud of you in my entire life, she said tearfully. That makes two of us, a voice said behind them. The twins turned to see their grandmother. She had just been released from the jar and was back to being her old solid self. The twins got to their feet and gave their grandmother an enormous hug, feeling so grateful that they finally could. Grandma leaned over and looked proudly into Alex and Connor's eyes. You two amaze me more and more as you get older, she said lovingly to them. Your father would be so proud of you. Alex and Connor smiled at each other, knowing wherever he was smiling down at them too. The winged horse neighed from the side of the Colosseum. Hey, Alex, where did you find a flying horse? Connor asked. Alex happily grinned, and happy grin suddenly faded. Oh no, I forgot about Bob, she yelled. Grandma, can you change him back for me? The fairy godmother laughed and retrieved her crystal wand from inside her robes and waved it in the horse's direction. A bright beam of light traveled from the tip of her wand and spun around the horse until he was regular Dr. Bob again. He shook his head and found his balance dizzy from the transformation. Bob? Is that you? Charlotte gasped. What are you doing here? I couldn't let you have all the fun, could I? He laughed. Charlotte ran to his side and kissed him. The twins had to look away. You won't believe what we went through, Connor told his mom. He was almost eaten by bears and sharks, and he was captured by the sea witch, and we'll let him tell you all about it himself, Alex said while dragging her brother away. She figured it was best to give them some privacy. The twins and their grandmother walked to the edge of the Colosseum and looked out over Charming Kingdom. The sun began to set, painting a sky beautiful rosy shade. I'm sorry we ran away from the house, Grandma, Alex said, trying to sound genuine, but also trying to hide the smile at the same time. Yeah, Connor laughed. I feel so bad about that. He didn't even try to be sincere. Their grandmother shook her head and looked to the sky, fighting a smile of her own. What am I going to do with you two? She said. Magic lessons, I think. Magic lessons, I think, would do you some good. That way you won't sink any more houses. I totally forgot about that, Connor said. Sorry we sank your cottage, Grandma. Magic lessons? Really? Alex asked with large eyes as she hopped up and down. Yes, I think you've earned it, their grandmother said, as long as your mother is fine with it. Well, after all this, I don't think she'll be able to tell us no again, Connor said. What was that, Connor? Charlotte asked as she and Bob joined them on the edge of the Colosseum. Connor said and turned bright red. I was just saying that you may have, some difficulty telling us no from now on because we saved your life? Charlotte squinted at him. I gave you life, she said, and you're never going to top that. Connor tried laughing it off. I was just kidding, he said, although there was obviously an element of truth to it. The reunited family of five looked out over the land around them, and the sun set in the east. It also set on the reign of the enchantress, and the twins could feel the land of stories sigh with relief. It was paradise once more. We don't have very much more, but it does sound like Secret Boyfriend is awake and he's going to want coffee, and I'm sitting in front of the coffee maker. So I'm gonna go. I will possibly be back, but at the very least we've read through that much and we just have 2 more chapters to go. So I'll see you all in a little bit.